and the Epstein stuff in our next hour. But right now, I want to move on to a really great guest in his new book called The Jailhouse Lawyer, co-authored with Sophie Kull. Calvin Duncan describes the many failures of the legal system, which landed him in prison for a crime he didn't commit after he was falsely identified in a New Orleans shooting, convicted, and sentenced to life in prison. The book chronicles his relentless fight to free himself while learning about the law so that he could seek justice for himself and hundreds of other prisoners. And Calvin Duncan joins me now. Calvin, thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's an honor.
So let's start with the case. Talk about how you wound up in prison and when did this happen?
So when I was 19, New Orleans had indicted me. The government position was that I had committed a murder that I didn't commit. And they were seeking to have, impose the death penalty. I was 19 at the time. And I was arrested in Oregon. I was in the job court and then extradited to New Orleans to stand trial. And once I got to New Orleans jail, everybody was telling me that I was going to get the death penalty, not even knowing the facts of my case, other than the fact that they had the same lawyers. Some of those guys had the death penalty. They had the same lawyers that I had, same judge and same prosecutor. And it was like, your lawyer's not going to come see you, so you're going to get executed. You're going to get the death penalty. Then my question was, well, how can I help myself? And he's one of those guys in the book. It talks about Big Dougie. He said, you got to become a lawyer. At that time, I only had between an 8th and 9th grade education. And that's when I started studying law and I fell in love with law.
And you taught yourself, as you said, you sort of became like almost like a jailhouse lawyer. They say you taught yourself the law, but also helped other members of your community inside of that space, and also got help from the Innocence Project. Talk about how you were able to be released, because there was a witness in the case that their witness testimony was not reliable. There was other things that actually proved your innocence.
Yeah, it was a botched robbery. The young lady witnessed her boyfriend being killed, and they didn't have any suspects, and my name came up, and she misidentified, my picture. But at trial, they presented to the jury as if she had positively identified my picture. But the problem that I faced, and a lot of other guys that had already been convicted and also was innocent, was that we couldn't get our documents from the same court that had prosecuted us. We would write letters, I would write letters, they would write letters, I would write letters on their behalf just to try to get the documents to prove our innocence, and we never could get it. But then there was a third-year law student named Emily Bolton. She came to Louisiana State Penitentiary, and we explained to her that we couldn't get our records, and she promised that once she graduated, she was going to actually come back to help us. So to back up, I went to trial. My lawyers came to see me the night before my trial, and they actually just came to see me to see if I had a coat, a suit to wear. And then they left. The next day I was tried. The government position was that I should be killed. But the jury rejected the death penalty, and I was sentenced to serve the remainder of my life in prison. And while in prison, I became what is known as a jailhouse lawyer, because in Louisiana, we're not entitled to a lawyer after the appeal stage. And so the institution would train us, give us some some lawyer education to help other people to stand in and function just like lawyers, but without the education and the degree. And one of my jobs for 19 years at Angola was people that had actually been sentenced to Louisiana.
Wow, it is a deep story. Unfortunately, not an uncommon one in this country. You went into prison at 19. You came out at 60.
No, I came out at 47. When I came out, I got out on a Friday. I got out on a Friday, January the 7th, 2011. That Tuesday, I was on Tulane campus trying to figure out how to go to law school. And so at 57, after I had obtained my bachelor's degree, associate degree and bachelor's degree, I immediately enrolled in law school at Lewis and Clark. And at the age of 57, at the age of 60, I received my JD from Lewis and Clark. And recently, in May of this year, I received an honorary degree from Loyola and was the commencement speaker.
And so you're now running for office. You're running for clerk of the court in the same New Orleans district that once denied you access to your records. Tell me what inspired you to run other than your incredible life story.
So the life story is the reason why I'm running, not being able to get my records to prove my innocence. And when I finally get the help to get the records, they told me that I was procedurally barred. So when I got out of prison, I immediately started trying to help other guys, other people that was in prison get access to their records, and I couldn't. And New Orleans is the only court in this whole state where it's difficult to get our records. So immediately I said, when this position become available, I was going to run for office. But I had to first be qualified. That is, I had to go get my education. And I did just that. So I graduated from Lewis and Clark with my JD in 2023. I came back home, continued to help people to get access to their records, which was a difficult task here in New Orleans. And besides, Louisiana is the incarceration capital of the world. And most of the people actually come from New Orleans. So once my book was released on a Thursday, sometime in July, the following day I learned that the position was open, and I immediately qualified to run for office to make sure that what happened to me don't happen to nobody else. And right after I qualified and started running this race, we learned that they had dumped a lot of the court records in the landfill, just dumped them.
Dump them in a landfill? Is that even legal?
No, it's not actually dumping those records. Is that the people records that was dumped in the landfill? Those people are going to die in prison because now we can't get access to their records.
Wow.
So that's why I got in this race, is to make sure that what happened to me and what's happening to the rest of the people in prison it never would happen again, especially once I'm elected, if it's God will that I am elected tomorrow.
Can you talk about some of the things that you missed out on and lost while you were in prison?
Well, I missed on a lot. I wasn't there to raise my daughter. You know, first time I held my daughter, she was like 3 months old. I wasn't there for my sister when she needed me, because it was my sister and I. I wasn't there with my aunt to comfort her when she was dying, and a whole lot of other things that normal people would live. I couldn't be an uncle to my niece and nephews. I couldn't be that son to my aunt that raised me. I missed out on a lot of things. I missed out on just being a kid, you know, just going to school and experiencing college like a young person would experience, and going to law school and experience it like a young person would experience. But I'm grateful that I was able to eventually do that.
Yeah. Are you in touch with some of the people that you were incarcerated with and continuing to assist them?
Yes, I'm very much in touch with them. As a matter of fact, we had a law in Louisiana that allowed people to be convicted when all of the jurors didn't agree, called the non-unanimous jury verdict. And in that case was Ramos versus Louisiana. What I would do is go back to the prison. I would find people that actually wasn't convicted by unanimous jury. And then once I learned about those cases, I would seek pro bono assistance from the Promise of Justice initiative here in New Orleans to find pro bono lawyers to actually litigate the case to United States Supreme Court, because we had a case called Apodaca that said that it was okay for the people in Louisiana and Oregon to be convicted, despite all of the jurors did not agree. So I explained, I'm bringing that up so that I constantly go back to the prison to help people provide the legal assistance that a lawyer would provide, but we're not entitled to a lawyer.
Yeah. And my exit question to you, you said Louisiana is the incarceration capital of the world, and now to include taking people that ICE is snatching off the streets in other states and locking them up there. Do you believe that Louisiana is this way? Particularly your governor right now is a horrible human being. I would say this is just my personal opinion. It's almost as if they want to use that labor you use prisoners as labor, right? Like slave labor.
Yeah, so the unfortunate reality here in Louisiana is that we use human beings to provide jobs. The more people you lock up, the more jobs you provide. Like at Louisiana State Penitentiary, it's because of a lot of people that's incarcerated, that is a lot of jobs. And so any kind of way that they could use human beings, whether it's us, whether it's kids, whether it's the people that came to this country to find a better life. We have a history here, and especially in.
Oh, I think he's freezing. Let's see if he unfreezes. Because I want to know his website. Come on, Calvin's internet.
Okay, I'm good.
Oh, there you are. You're back. You're back.
Did you see me?
Yeah, go ahead. We got you.
So
no, Calvin, if you can come back in, or hopefully you will unfreeze. I think your internet might be a bit choppy, but if you do unfreeze, we really want to get your website. Give us your website and when is the race?
The race is tomorrow. The election is tomorrow. So I would like for people to donate to calvinforclerk.com. We need the donations to do this, the win this race. And we would like to send a message to Louisiana, especially New Orleans people, to go out and vote.
That sounds like a plan.
So
calvinforclerk.com. We're going to put that in the description here. I'm going to put on the Substack as well. Calvin, we really wish you the best. Calvin Duncan, what a heroic thing you're doing for other people. And thank you for giving back to the community despite all that you have been through. Thank you, Calvin. Thank you. All right. We're going to make sure that we put that link in there. Calvin's internet was not wanting to let him be great, but he is great. And I think that he should win. He deserves to win. And isn't it interesting that Calvin served from 19 to 47 for a crime he did not commit. Donald Trump is a 37 count felon, and he was sentenced to no time because it was seen as too controversial to put him in prison for his crimes. He was found liable for sexually abusing and defaming E. Jean Carroll. That was a civil case. There was no jail time even on the table. Jeffrey Epstein, we're going to talk about this more in hour 2, railed against the fact that he was convicted in a state case for trafficking. They used the sort of Mann Act style trafficking laws against him, but he only served a very short sentence and was able to go to work every day and be driven by Florida sheriffs to work every day, like they were his chauffeurs. But he was still mad about that. There is definitely unequal justice in this country. Ghislaine Maxwell, who did get 20 years for sex trafficking and abuse, she's trying to get her sentence commuted or overturned outright because these people don't believe that they ought to have to pay for their crimes. It's disgusting. And people like Calvin pay for things they didn't even do. And yet, look at his spirit in terms of believing that he can help other people, and he is trying to help others by running for county clerk. Thank y'all for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe, share this channel. Make sure that everybody subscribes to the YouTube channel. 70% of people are lurking, watching these shows and not subscribing. Why would you do that? So make sure that you like, subscribe, and throw some comments in. Thank you all for joining the Joy Reid Show. See you on the next one, and goodbye for now.